All right, everybody, welcome to
Welcome.
today's training. We hope y'all are good. We hope you are well,
hmm
and that you're having a relaxed and blessed and peaceful Sunday.
hmm
How you feeling, babe?
I am feeling present
You feeling
and
present?
and
That's what
excited
that's
about
important.
today's training.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you excited about it? I am too. I'm always like I feel like I'm present as well. So we want to know how y'all are doing. Drop a feeling word in the chat. How you doing? You might be feeling good. You might be.
Good ain't really a feeling, but
That's not a feeling.
no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't say good. Don't say I. I usually say don't say that. I'm feeling at peace.
hmm
I'm feeling calm. I'm feeling emotional. That's not a feeling either.
No.
But we're gonna go for it today. We're gonna go for it,
do I
y'all.
do I need do we need to pull all the emotions, Will?
Our Blamley members know that we are big on feelings, knowing your feelings, because when you know your feelings, then you can actually share not just what you're upset about, you can share what the feeling is behind it, not just what you're happy about in just in general terms, but you can get more particular and nuanced. So today, y'all, we are sharing something that causes a whole lot of feelings for people. We're talking on a topic that we've been focusing in on lately as we gear up for our amazing series that we do, our program, which is our Breakthrough Infidelity program. And so we have been really focused on how we're going to be bringing folks together for this program that is starting next month. Next month will be here in a few days.
Yeah, it actually
So
will.
it's very soon. And today we're going to be talking about bouncing back, y'all. Somebody put a BB in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or you're here in the Zoom room, because we bouncing back from betrayal. We're not going to let it hold us down, and recognize that being stuck is a choice. Just like me going on do not disturb is a choice. I'm gonna do that with my phone
I
right
appreciate that, babe.
now. Y'all heard my phone just ring. So this right here is my dapper, debonair sweetheart, my partner in crime, the one who celebrates 22 years of marriage tomorrow with me.
hmm Yes.
Yes,
This right here is
tomorrow,
my
May
wife, the love of my
27th.
life, my queen,
Ayize.
my boo thing,
Ayize.
my baby's mama, my wife. Iana, y'all.
Yes. All right. So we're going to go ahead, y'all, and pull up our slides. And we just invite you to lean in, to focus in, to see what comes up for you as we share tonight, and to be open. To be open. I always say that. Be open to what you hear. Open your heart. Open your mind. Try to do both of those things because it's really important. All right.
hmm
So the first thing, y'all, we always let folks know that we're having grown folks conversation. You got kids around. You got people around who you don't want in your business, or things that they don't need to be seeing or hearing, then go on and put them headphones on. Okay, put the headphones on. That's what you need to do so that you are totally present and with us. That's number one.
And in addition to that, one of the things that we like to lift up is that when it comes to this topic right here, some people feel like they are all by themselves, even though you have in popular media, social media streets, whatever it may be, evidence of the fact that it's happening everywhere. But I just want you to know that you're not alone as it pertains to
Mm-hmm.
infidelity. And so here are a number of, stats that we've lifted up before, and we'll continue to lift up just in reference to the frequency, of this particular issue. And so, again, approximately 70% of adults in the U.S. have engaged in some form of infidelity, which includes emotional affairs during their lifetime. Research also shows that men are more likely to cheat for reasons related to sexual variety, satisfaction, et cetera, and women are more likely to cheat due to emotional dissatisfaction in their current relationship. One thing that I found that was fascinating was that the older you get, it seems as though it increases the likelihood of infidelity. And so it increases with age, with the peak age range for infidelity being between the ages of 40 and 49 years old. And, when we think about the fact that infidelity is here today, it's actually been present almost seemingly forever. And so it's been relatively stable since the 1990s. However, there's been a slight decline in men's infidelity rates and a slight increase in women's infidelity rates. And so that right there is kind of fascinating to me, just simply because, there's a whole number or whole host of contributing factors to why women may be like, he been doing his thing, so now it's time for me to get mine. And so we're not advocating or condoning that you step out, but what we are saying is that it's real, y'all, and it's out here, and there's definitely an impact to folks individually, but also to the relationship as well. And so studies also suggest that 15% of women and 25% of men have engaged in sexual infidelity, while around 20% of women and 40% of men have engaged in emotional infidelity. So again, this speaks to the difference in terms of what men may be preoccupied with versus what women may be preoccupied with. And it also suggests that, as you all know, it's not a secret, but infidelity is a significant contributor to relationship dissatisfaction and is one of the leading causes of divorce or separation. Again, it's often cited as the leading cause or as a leading cause of divorce or separation. And so, again, I'm lifting that up to just let you know that you're not alone in this. And so, if you've been grappling with this, dealing with it, you ain't by yourself. A lot of people are dealing with infidelity. And so by the end of this training, there's a few things that we feel as though you'll be able to at least say that you've accomplished. Number one, you'll feel more confident and competent in your ability to heal from infidelity. We're going to give you 4 keys that will help you to experience a rebirth in your relationship that you're currently in, or establish a new one. We know that not everybody's going to stay in a relationship that they're in. And some of y'all shouldn't, real talk. And then also you will have an opportunity to participate in a proven system, a process to experience healing and wholeness. If that's what you need, type a 1 in the chat. If you need healing and wholeness, type a 1 in the chat. You shouldn't feel all by yourself. I already lifted up a number of stats. And so again, if that's what you're needing, healing and wholeness, type a 1 in the chat. And it don't mean that that's from your current relationship. It could actually be from a previous relationship based off of what you experienced in the past. And real talk, it could also be based off of what your daddy did or what your mommy did. And you know that experience with infidelity is impacting how you show up today. And so again, if you feel like you need some healing and wholeness, type a 1 in the chat.
That's good. So a little bit about us for those who may not be familiar with us. We've been together. Tomorrow, it will be 22 years of marriage and 28 years together. We have over 30 years of experience in the field of mental health and doing couples work and working with individuals. And we specialize in the funky stuff. Somebody type funky. Can I get one person to type funky? Because it's really important for everybody here and anybody who comes into our circle to know that everybody goes through funkiness. You know what I'm saying? So we don't come to talk about the light stuff. We talk about the funky stuff because you got to have a space to do that. And we've impacted thousands of couples and families doing retreats and intensives and our trainings and programs and coaching. And we specialize in increasing connection, courage, and commitment in the folks that we work with. You can find us on all things Black Love and Marriage on social media. And you can also find our podcast, The Relationship Cheat Code, on YouTube. So we encourage you to go and check that out as well. And we just share some of our experiences, not to impress you, as I always say, but to impress upon you that this is what we do. This is our work, and we count it a privilege. We also count a privilege, the ones who we do it for, our children.
This is how we do it.
Yes. That's how we do it.
This is how we do.
But guess what, y'all? The work that we've done, this is just a small sampling of our members. We have 200 plus members in our community who are doing their work, their personal work, their relationship work in BLAM Core. And everybody is keeping it 100 about the fact that I'm doing some things differently and I got some more work to do. I've been through some things and I'm going higher. And that is what we're here to talk about tonight. We're here to talk about infidelity and some of the ramifications of that, some of the impact of that. And the bottom line, y'all, sometimes people want to keep it all nice and gravy, that's what you say? Nice and gravy. Nice and clean and beautiful. But sometimes we just have to acknowledge the funkiness.
Damn.
Infidelity wreaks havoc, right? Like it puts a break inside of people and inside of relationships that must be addressed. We got to look at it. I have to stop and say this. The reason that we know about this is because we've dealt with it and we've healed through it. We've dealt with it and we healed through it. And my desire my husband's desire is that folks, when they come in and encounter us or somebody in our community, can recognize that we can talk about it and we can be real about it, and we don't have to be ashamed, and we don't have to sit in a place of feeling like I'm just a mess, or my situation is a mess, or my relationship ain't like this, or it ain't gonna never be better again. We have overcome, and we know that so many of you can overcome, whether you stay with your partner or you do not. The healing can happen either way. It's a choice. It's a choice. And we always say that there is a cost. There's a cost to, dealing with something like this, but there is a cost. No matter what, you're gonna have to settle in and recognize, if I want better, if I want to not be in this place of feeling all hurt and just kind of being in a place, especially for those who are still with your partner, and you feel like we haven't addressed it. It's just kind of sitting here in our relationship, and I don't even know if I really trust him or her anymore. And then even for those who are not with their partner, I just don't. I don't know if I can trust again. I don't even know what happened and how we got to this place. But I find that I continue to attract mofo's who be doing this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is, you can make a choice to shift. And that's really what we want to do tonight. We want to empower you to know that you can shift and you can be in a different place. You can be in a different
Yeah,
place.
you absolutely can be in a different place. As my wife mentioned, infidelity does take a toll, and it's not just a toll, on you emotionally and mentally, but there's also a financial toll that infidelity can take. We said that it's one of the leading causes of divorce, and so when we think about divorce and the impacts on the family, I mean, you got legal fees for divorce. You have the division of assets. I heard somebody once say before, when the question was asked, "How much does it cost to get a divorce?" And the response was half of whatever it is that you got. And so you have the loss of income as well that you got to factor in, whether it's a temporary reduction of income to a complete loss of one, and then you have to deal with therapy and counseling. You have hourly sessions ranging from $100 to $200 per hour, or even more, per session. And so you also have childcare expenses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Housing costs, like if somebody got to get out, in terms of like, where you gonna move? You got to rent a new residence, purchase a new residence, whatever it may be. But it costs money, y'all. It costs money, and so the financial toll is steep. The financial toll is heavy, and it can be 23,000 or more, depending upon what your situation is. And so, a number of people have walked this path and gone through this experience and have had to deal with this. And so, we do these trainings because if you choose to be in a better space, sometimes divorce is the necessary next step. However, we also know some folks that have made the decision that we've dealt with this, and we made a decision that we're going to actually get through into the other side. And so if that's you, then there's a proven pathway to be able to do that. And so here are some folks who have actually been through infidelity and made the decision, like, we're going to fight this thing out. We're going to fight it out. We're going to try to work it out. And so the question is, will you be one of those people that chooses to take the next step to fight it out? Or will you be the one that chooses to make the decision that I'm choosing me, which is a perfectly good choice as well. I'm choosing me, and I want me to be better. I want to be in a different space. I want to feel healed, and I want to feel whole, even if I'm not with my partner. And so, again, the choice is yours, but you do have to do something different if you want to experience something different. It's not going to happen on accident, y'all. It just won't.
That's right. Okay, y'all. So we always like to tell this story, the story of us. We're going to talk a little bit about us in a few moments, but first we want to tell the story of us, which is not about the two of us. This is a story that we have utilized to really help people to see themselves, to see their situation, and to see what stands out to you, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you. So I want you to sit back and just really pay attention to this story and think about what comes up in your spirit as you hear it. All right, so this is the story of us. Do I have your permission to share the story? I just need to make sure y'all listening, y'all with me. Do I have your permission? Can I get a yes? A go ahead, you got it. Read the story, Yana. Okay, all right, I see I have permission. Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, so I'm going to read this story. Sparks flew the moment they met. Both knew in an instant their fate was set. True soulmates they were indeed. On religion and politics, they both agreed. They completed each other and never brawled. In every aspect, they appeared perfect to all. On the day they were wed, us was born and me was shed. Innocent lovers at the altar for all to see, they vowed to protect us till they would cease to be. All agreed this us was forever, there would be no end. Hope sprang eternal as us prepared for life to begin. Us became stronger as time passed by. It seemed only to grow and never to wane. True to their vows, us was protected and their love was sustained. Then slowly, what seemed to give life at the start, farther and farther drifted apart. Initially, a child strengthened their bond, but when one became three, us forgot to respond. The new roles required to be played by both caused the distracted us to forget its oath. John was absent as he tried to provide, and Donna was exhausted trying to survive. Roles shifted away from husband and wife to mom and dad, costing us its life. Please give me some time, us would request, but neither responded. All they wanted was rest. Once robust and incredibly resilient, us began to slowly fade. So subtle the shift, neither saw the decline of the us they had made. With the legend of us appearing so strong, they failed to see something was wrong. Us cried out desperately, hoping to be noticed, but the child centered marriage left us purely hopeless. And so it turned out that what had given life at the start was ripping at the seams and falling apart. With children going to school and life's ever increasing demands, even less effort was placed in the flame of us being fanned. At work, John's talent and brains gave him a leader's pace, but at home, he was dull, tired, and commonplace. Donna worked hard with the kids, meals, and social life, and could find little time for the role of a wife. A weakened us continued to falter, how far they had fallen from their dreams on the altar. Then one fateful day, when John felt stuck, he met another he thought would bring better luck. Maybe he'd been mistaken thinking Donna was it, for now he believed this new one was a better fit. This began the decline of John's integrity and truth as he led two lives trying to reclaim his youth. Us tried to raise the clarion call, but now on life support had no power at all. The day of discovery left Donna feeling shock and shame, and so all that was left was to unleash her pain. Vanished were all the things she had trusted. Life, her memories now all seemed busted. The devastation brought by John's second life caused her to loathe us and to see only strife. At first, in an attempt to quell his shame, John pointed to us to place the blame. If us was what it should have been, I would have never fallen so deep into sin. Poor us was rejected and almost dead, no longer protected, but trampled instead. The path of divorce now seemed right. The path of divorce that now seemed right would have led to destruction had John not seen the light. With the affair broken off and hat in hand, he begged Donna to begin again. Off to marriage counseling, they felt called to go, where she too blamed us for all of their woes. It wasn't me, they both exclaimed. They could only agree that us was to blame. Poor us, defenseless and weak, could only lie there and soak up their shame. Us understood until blame was barred, there would be no hope of finding a new start. When all was dark and with no hope in sight, they met another who had survived the fight. It wasn't until John heard about another's pain that he was able to see the truth about Donna again. Once Donna was able to see how an unfaithful mate had reformed, she began to believe even John could transform. Each finally realized I'm responsible for me, and I have to choose to be safe enough for us. To continue pointing fingers was only kicking up dust. John took the reins and led the way, trying to understand what it was like to live with him each day. And as understanding slowly crept in, he could now see what his actions had cost her and them. John's understanding stirred new hope, and both began rebuilding what once had been. My mate is never my problem, they now could see. My mate only reveals the problem in me. As in the beginning, me was shed, and now us began to take the lead. To the surprise of all, John and Donna began to stand tall. With us seemingly dead, it was hard to believe they were now moving ahead. It wasn't easy and it took time, but they learned how to love and put the past behind. After what had seemed a hopeless retreat, John and Donna once again found life sweet. With us now better and standing strong, they stand in the gap helping others who fall. They now have a message for those in the dark. If it can happen for us, it can happen for all. Oh my, the story of us. The story of us. I want you to just drop in the chat what comes up for you. What comes up for you? Any emotion. There's no right or wrong. You may feel angry. You may feel triggered. You may feel hopeful, inspired, unsure. Whoa, I don't know, right? What comes up for you? Drop a feeling. Everything we do when you come into our space on a training or anywhere is something for you to be able to duplicate in your life and in your relationship. Because what I want you to know is that sometimes I ask folks, well, how are you feeling? What are you feeling? And it takes them a minute. And then they tell me. And then I say, well, did you tell your husband? Well, have you shared that with your wife? No. Because if we can't share with our partner anything that we don't utter for ourselves. If we can't get in touch with it ourselves, then we certainly can't do it with others. So I want y'all to understand that it's really, really important for you to be able to go beyond observing and looking at your life and get into it. Get into your life, whatever it is, how messy it is, how it doesn't look the way you want it to, whatever it is, get into it and be honest about it. And there is no right or wrong. Feelings are never right or wrong. They just are what they are. They are what they are.
You know, one of the things that, you know, is really important that I took away from that story, and I always take away something different, but this time when I heard it, the thing that stood out to me is the fact that they there was a focus on an entity outside of them individually. And so the us,
Yeah.
the us. And far too often we get so steeped in our own perspectives and our own ways of being that we miss the fact that there's a pot, a collective pot that we need to pour into. And we have a responsibility to this entity, which is us. And so for those of you who are in a space in your relationship where you're wanting to shift and you're wanting to improve the quality of the relationship, you want to remain despite the hurt that you have, and the question is, how do I do it? One of the ways in which you saw in this story is that they got outside of themselves and they recognized the value in us.
Yeah.
And so again, that's one way for you to be able to begin to make a shift, just recognizing that our relationship demands and needs something. It needs deposits. If we're constantly making these withdrawals and you know, pulling from the relationship, then we end up finding ourselves in a space where we are empty. It is empty, and it's basically void of life. And so again, they had to make that shift to make a decision to do something different, which was to begin to pour back into the relationship. And so I think that right there was significant. However, they looked at self first, and I know that when people experience infidelity, one of the first things that come up is which is natural. I'm hurt. You did me dirty.
Well,
Why you do
I want
this?
to cut you.
I want to cut you. I want to cuss you out. I want to do whatever it may be. Like you feel in this place where you're enraged, and we definitely understand and we get it. And so you know, a lot of times what happens is that when the affair occurs, the person, more often than not, they don't want the relationship to end. They want it to be fixed. They want to be healed. They want to move on. They want to know why. They got all of these questions. And so for the person that sits in the seat that committed the act of betrayal, there's some things that you must do. There's some things that you must do to shore up the relationship, to shore up the us, and to shore up your partner. You know, if the objective is for you all to try to work it out, because that's the decision that some folks make. Like, I want us to work. And so a lot of times they're like, but how do we make it work when I've done my partner wrong? And so there's a few things that you must do in order for that shift to begin to occur.
Yeah, and I just want to say this. I want to say this. If some folks just need to hear this tonight, and that is that Like if you just be talking to your friends or you on social media or hear just the common stuff that people say, when cheating has occurred in your relationship, like, oh, I see this stuff all the time. It drives me crazy. Oh, that's a deal breaker. It's over. It's done. It's a wrap. He's, once a cheater, always a cheater, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not trying to take away from the fact that some folks are with people that you should not be with. They're just not your person. And then you all have perhaps a toxic kind of bond. Maybe you have a trauma bond. You know what I'm saying? I know those kind of situations exist. And so I'm not taking away from that. But I don't like, y'all can come to me in the chat if y'all want to, especially on YouTube. But I don't like when people approach this in a very black and white way. Like, so it creates this kind of a feeling that, oh, if that happened, and then you actually are unsure about what to do or how to move or how to flow, and you want to do what you feel God is calling you to do to take care of yourself, but you also want, and you want to make sure that you're actually moving forward in a way that perhaps can bring your relationship or your marriage, if you're married, back to wholeness. Like somehow you wrong and you just got low self-esteem and you know what I'm saying? You just raggedy because you just gonna take anything. And I just want to put out the clarion call today to say that is a myth. That is not a fact. That wherever you sit, whatever it is that you desire, whatever it is that you want, you have a right to want and desire it. Your responsibility in the midst of it is to do some of the things that we're talking about tonight, to make sure that the person who you are choosing to stay in a relationship with, if that is the case, is showing up a certain way. If they're not showing up a certain way, that you have some things in place so that you can take care of yourself and make sure that you're not on a roller coaster and being kind of yanked all over the place when you're the person who was hurt in the first place, right? Like two things can be true at once. I'm hurt and I want this. I'm hella hot and I don't know that I'm just done. You understand? Two things can be true at once, and we can take care of ourselves and see what is possible for us, as we did, as so many people that we have worked with have done, and get to the other side. But the tap out culture out here, I just tap out. And again, you can just be done because that's what, but be thoughtful. Be thoughtful and be clear about what it is that you need to do. Don't just be on a reactive kind of a thing. And again, we're not leaning in one way or the other. It's just the fact that when we're really serious about doing our work and about paying attention to all of the dynamics, then we won't just jump to, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater, here, dog, I'm done. Like that's just immature. I'm just gonna tell you that's just how I see it. There are some things that folks need to do when they have effed up. Sometimes people get confused and think, especially when they come into our space, that because we do help people to overcome infidelity, whether they're doing it individually and moving on, but especially if they're doing it together and moving on with that partner, they think, oh, so okay, I gotta like pull my partner along. I gotta do this because he's still no. There are some things that they need to do to fix it.
Yeah, and I want to make this perfectly clear. Like, so if they effed up, they must, number one, cut it off. There's no gray here. This is black or white.
Baseline.
Yeah, you must cut it off. Like there's so many situations that I've experienced and witnessed in the work that we've done over the course of these past 13 years that what I see is people, they want to be able to have their cake and eat it too. And so they'll make excuses as to why they need to maintain a relationship with the other person after they ended up cheating with the person and broke their vow to you. No, they must cut it off. And so when I say cut it off, what I'm speaking about is you may consider it to be going to the extreme, but what I'm saying is that it's baseline, it's basic. That if they're in a relationship with this person, if they've stepped out and engaged with this person, and they believe that they can remain connected with this person and keep it copacetic, keep it cool, keep it peace, it don't work like that. Because whenever they're in that environment with that person, they're thinking about what they did, what they experienced, how they felt. And so you have these constant reminders of what the interaction was that was inappropriate, and so that increases the likelihood that it's going to happen again. And so what we say is that cut it off. And so what do I mean concretely when I say cut it off? What I'm talking about is if you're in a situation in which that person has access to you in terms of your phone, you need to change your phone number
Make it plain.
Block them. If they have access to you via social media, you need to block their access to you via social media or eliminate your social media altogether. Is this possible? The answer is absolutely yes. We've worked with a number of couples, men and women, who have done it. Cut off the access. Cut it. If y'all work at the same location, you may need to switch jobs or get transferred to another floor, get transferred to another office, seek up a new place of employment altogether.
Right. And it's
If you value your marriage, if
Yeah.
you value your relationship, if you value your family,
Yes.
and you don't want your wife to be put in a position where she's constantly worrying about what you doing at lunch, what you doing for breakfast, what you doing on these long extended breaks, what you doing when I call you and I can't get in contact with you. Or if you're worried about your wife, what you doing when you stay out late after work, what you doing when you go to happy hour, what you doing when you get up early in the morning, what you do when you put on that special blouse in the morning and you go off to work and you seem like you in a good mood.
Not the
Like
special
what is, I
blouse.
mean, it's triggers that are coming from any and everywhere. So I'm just saying that you need to cut it. You need to cut it all.
And I just want to say this: so many people, and oftentimes it's again, women cheat as well, but we see a lot of women who are being cheated on by men. Okay, so I'm going to talk to the women right now. Sometimes we are confused because we like, well, he can't just get a new job. That's like, any of us, we just wanted to get a new job. How's that going to work? Like, we just can't magically make that happen. So we participate in staying in a funky space because we don't even ask for what we need, or we don't even dare put that out there because we believe like that's kind of too much. We need this money, so how that's going to work? And what I want to say to you is, yes, there are steps to it. We're not saying the person can quit tomorrow. This is just one example, right? But when the priority is my family, when the priority is my relationship, then when we are both clear about that, and when you become clear about that, sis, right, then however that needs to happen, it might be a process. It probably will be a process. Work on that process, brother, right? Keep looking for that new job. Like, you got to get out of that space. Whatever that is. Oh, happy hours always happen on Wednesdays after work, and you don't go to the happy hours no more because she's always there. So we know that you're not doing that. We still can work with what we have with like real life stuff happening. And I just want to encourage people to not buy into like, that's going to be too hard. Like, what we going to do? We can't do nothing about that. Oh, yes, you can. You can change your whole entire life, step by step, right? Question by question. It's just about the mindset. And if you're not willing to put that out there, then you're basically giving permission to a funky ass dynamic to continue.
You know what the
I'm
issue
saying?
is, though?
And,
The
and-
issue-
and sitting your relationship sits in a risky ass place. And my husband used to always say, I'm sorry. My husband used to always say, when he was talking to men early on, he would say it's easier than, you say it's easier to, what you say? It's easier to avoid.
I know what it is. I just want to see. I want to see if you remember. I know what it
Give me a
is.
minute.
I just want to see if you
I'm
remember.
trying to bring it back. It's easier to avoid than to resist. Some of us might not like that, but that's a fact. For many people, it's easier to avoid than to resist. And if that's where your partner is or where y'all are in your relationship, there's no shame in that. But avoid the situation. Don't be having a conversations. Don't put yourself in that environment. Don't put yourself in that circumstance. And eventually, because you develop the muscle through avoiding, resisting will be nothing. It won't be any, you'll be able to resist easily. But you have to first start where you are. And so you avoid the situations that make y'all vulnerable and then make, y'all on shaky ground, or one partner on shaky ground. That's just real talk.
And let me just say this: like, a lot of times, the reason why there is resistance as it pertains to cutting it off is because you don't want to deal with the shame. You don't want to deal with the embarrassment. So when we speak about this whole piece around, oh, you can't go to happy hour no more because she gonna be there or he gonna be there, that's a conversation that you got to have with your homies at work.
You can't, but they don't got to tell them their business.
You don't got to tell them your business, but at some point, there may come an opportunity or questions may start to be asked where you have to be exposed. Like, this is what you did. And so I think that people shy away from making drastic changes because if that means I got to have a conversation with HR when I'm requesting this job change, if X, Y, and Z has happened and I'm expressing or sharing what some of the difficulties are and the challenges are that I'm having, not to say that
You ain't telling
everybody
HR that
got
you've been with somebody at work.
no, but what I'm saying is that, like, your friends, the people that you're associated with, they're going to start to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, you're requesting a transfer. to another location. You can no longer work at this job.
They can agree on what their story gonna be. I'm just saying, I don't
But
feel like
even
you have
that
to
though,
tell people all of your business.
nah, but if you do, so what?
Well, it depends. It depends. I don't
Nah,
think everybody is.
it's no. What I'm saying is
I'm
that
saying I
let
don't
me
think
finish my
everybody
point.
has a right to your business.
Everybody don't have a right to your business, but what I'm saying is that why am I the person who was being hurt? Why am I trying to protect you? You're continuously assuming a
Right.
posture of self-protection, which is one where you're prioritizing you. You hurt me.
Right. So
And so it's your
you
responsibility
go
to
deal with
sit
that.
in
Okay.
whatever it is that you got to sit in.
Okay, I get you.
And so it's not a thing. I mean, you might have to come clean. You might have to say that I did this and I did that. So what? You did the dirt. You made the bed. Now lay in it.
But check with your partner. Like
They're gonna try to protect you.
but they might not want the
I mean,
business
that's
out there.
true. They may not want it out there,
But I
but
hear
if
what
you
you're
don't want
saying.
it out there, you got to ask yourself the question why. Because a lot of times what we're saying is that right there is a reflection of you. And so we'll get into that in a moment because you're dealing with your own shame and sense of self and unworthiness. But the reality is that like he or she did something and it has to be dealt with. There's an appropriate way to deal with it. But what I will say is that like, yeah, I mean, you hurt me and real talk, like there's some bumps and bruises that come with that.
Right. You're right. I definitely get that. That if there's, I think your fundamental point is that if it's going to inconvenience the person who cheated or make you feel some type of way, like so be it. That's basically what you're saying. So be it.
Yeah.
But I want you all to make sure that you all are connecting in as a couple for those who are staying together to ensure that the person who was cheated on is okay with whatever the plan is now. So they must cut it off. They also must take ownership. And ownership, I just want to say this. I think everybody knows this for the most part, that you need to own what you did. But I can't. I have to be honest. I've seen this quite a bit in our work. That there are people who like they don't own this part, but they're not gonna own that part. Or you saw that, so I'm gonna say yeah, like that was like it wasn't like what you thought it was, but yeah, that did happen. But they're not gonna own this other part, right? Like I've talked to so many women who are like, I know my husband probably has some other stuff going on. He won't just come clean and just own what it is that he did. So I know, because I've seen some stuff, but I know there's more. He won't do that. And here's the thing for anybody who is watching who has cheated. Your partner, especially if they still dealing with your ass, your partner actually just wants you to tell the truth so that they know that they can trust you or begin to try to trust you because they're going to stay with you because they want to be with you because you are showing up decently, but you're still not telling the whole truth. You're not owning everything. And so a lot of times, I know my husband has said as he's talked to men, they not owning stuff because they scared that if I tell you all the situation, you're going to really be like, I'm done, or it's going to hurt you too bad. But let me tell you something. A hurt is a hurt is a hurt. It just is what it is. You got to put it all out there. Once you put it all out there, the fact that you can walk down the street and nobody can come tell your partner anything about anything or anyway on any day is a freedom kind of feeling. You know what I'm saying? So just own what the hell it was. Let them know. So then they know, right? And this is what has to happen. They need to own it so that you can. Let me just put it like this: if your partner, I'm talking to you, sis or bruh, I'm talking mostly to the sisters. If you cannot say with confidence that your partner has shared with you everything that has happened, answered your questions, done all of that, and you feel in your spirit, our intuition is something we have to honor, women. If you can't say that, then you don't need to be moving forward. Oh, I know we don't want to hear that, but you don't need to be moving forward because if they're not being completely honest with you, then how can you trust anything going? What are you building on? What are you building on? You can't even build. It could be some old crazy ass shit, but they got to tell you. And if they don't put it out there, what you building on? You building on lies. You're building on half truths, and we can't start there. So yes, I know this is contrary to what's popular out here. I ain't telling her. Oh yeah, you need to tell her. We've coached people, and one partner has shared with one of us. This is really what's all this happened, but the wife or the spouse only knows part of it. And we will never tell your stuff. That's not our role as a coach, as therapist, trained therapist, coach. But we talk to you and say, you're going to have to share it. If you want to be up under our guidance and counsel, you're going to have to share it. And if they keep going forward in the coaching and they just don't share it, we'd be like, well, it's been nice working with you guys, but we're going to have to tap out. The wife is looking like, what's going, why? Well, we're just going to have to leave y'all with that. So anybody who at the end of this says, you know what, I think I'm gonna jump on this offer and I'm gonna go ahead and get into this program. Don't come in here thinking you're gonna just not we ain't gonna tell you stuff. We never gonna do that. But you have to be willing to own all of it. Own all of it. And when you don't do that, we can't help you build on brokenness.
Yeah,
That's just not right.
you putting masking tape on your relationship and thinking that it's whole. It's masking tape. You know, what are you masking?
Yeah,
What are you hiding?
that's it.
You know, you got to own it, bro. You got to own it, sis.
All right, that's number 2. So the first thing we said was they got to cut it off, y'all. They got to take ownership. And this next one is really, really important.
The next one, y'all, is for you to establish boundaries.
They
You
got to
must
have them.
establish boundaries. This goes for both sides, but for the person that stepped out, it's really critical that you establish boundaries as it pertains to how you engage the world. Like your boundaries were porous, they were loose, they were wide open in many instances. And as a result, you found yourself stepping into a situation that you shouldn't have been in. And so establishing these boundaries, fundamentally, it protects the relationship, it protects your partner. It also reassures them and lets them know that you're moving in order. You're moving with a certain level of accountability. You're not all willy-nilly out here just doing whatever, but number one, you respect the relationship and you also respect yourself in a way in which you're willing to establish these boundaries so that this doesn't happen again. If you're unwilling to establish boundaries, then it feels as though you're going to find yourself in a space where you've done what you did before. You're going to find yourself in a space where you hurt me again. And so what I'm looking for is, how are you governing yourself out in public? How are you governing yourself in private? And these boundaries may look like, you establishing the time period where you're not going to be on your phone. These boundaries may look like you not going out and hanging out and socializing with certain people. These boundaries may look like you establishing the time in which you'll be back in the house. These boundaries may look like you getting into a regular routine in terms of joining our community and establishing that, like, this is my safe haven, my safe space for us to do my work. Boundaries can look any number of ways, but it's important that you have them, again, to protect you and to let others know, keep out. This is a do not enter sign. I'm focusing on me and I'm focusing on my marriage. I'm focusing on my relationship. And if you're choosing not to be in the relationship anymore, I'm focusing on me.
So I want to, I think this is so common. I appreciate your comment, LWU. She says, "Oh, this is so true. I don't even know why I'm here because my husband has not kept it 100 and keeps apologizing, but won't stop doing what he's doing." So I just want to say this. There are so many people in that situation, that kind of a situation. So I want to go back to what we talked about at the beginning of our training tonight. That is, you are not alone. And most people, out here will just have you believe, like, even everything we're talking about, like, that it's just everything comes together nice and neatly. You know what I'm saying? So the person, they need to, take ownership and they need to do all of these things, cut it off. Like, the reality is that that is not happening for a lot of people in their relationships, right? So I don't want to normalize it in terms of the fact that this is something that you should be okay with, because it is not. But I want to normalize the funky ass road to wherever you're going. So there's so many people that we have worked with in our program who are saying exactly what you said, in terms of, like, this is still happening and I don't even know where to begin, right? But all you have to do is begin. All you have to do is begin. You got to get in position to begin. So I want to say that because I don't want people, we always want to make sure that people understand that change and transformation and happiness and having the life you want to have and feeling the way you want to feel as an individual, as a family, all of that starts with one decision, and it starts with you getting in the right position. And we're going to talk about that later on. So you don't have to have it all. You don't have to come having everything together, you know what I'm saying, in order to be able to, like, move forward in your life or when you're dealing with something like infidelity. But what you do have to do is do something different. And for us, and the work that we have done. This is why we have created community. This is why we have people who can come together, who can work through this stuff, talk through this stuff, get right teaching and empathy and understanding while you get to where you need to get. Because it's a process. It's a process. It's not a blink your eyes and like left or right. You're done now. That's just not real life. And we know that that's not real life. So I just want to give you, send you compassion and energy because, I think there's so many times people are just kind of they pull back a bit because they feel like, I know what it should be, but it's not. That's all right. That's all right. You just got to get in the right place to do the work. I just want to shout out. This is it. Your name is an interesting name on YouTube. Violent Lace Doll Face. You say you hadn't seen us in forever. What's up? How are you this evening? Okay, so we're gonna keep it moving. We talked about cutting it off. We talked about ownership and boundaries, and we always have to give a shout out to gas. Gas. Gas is important, y'all. Where we at? Oh, there we go. And gas is just simply grace and space.
Yeah, it's really important that you give grace and space. And so for the person that stepped out, you got to give grace and space to your partner. Number one, they made a decision. And many times it's not direct, but based off of their actions, they're indicating that they want to be in a relationship with you still, even after you stepped out. And so when we speak about giving grace and space, fundamentally what we're talking about is give them grace to go through their process. To go through their process of hurt, of questioning, of uncertainty, of embarrassment, of feeling guilt, of, going through, any form of denial and whatever it may be. And so when you allow the grace for them to go through the emotional roller coaster ride
You're
after
talking to
you've
the
done.
person who's been the cheater.
Yeah,
Just so everybody's clear.
yeah. When you show grace as they go through their process, what that's exhibiting is a certain level of patience. It's exhibiting patience and allowing them to know that you're willing to take care of them in that moment. That right there is a win. That's a win whether you know it or not. Making room, giving grace and space and making room for them to be wherever they are mentally and emotionally.
So and I want to say this. This is why this is also important. Oftentimes, we are in these trainings, right, are talking to the person who's been betrayed. Every now and then we have somebody on who's been cheating, but most of the time it's the person who's been betrayed. And they're trying to figure out, like, how do I deal with this? And so here we are giving you all of these things that they should be doing. And many of you may be thinking, they ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what I'm supposed to do with that? But here's the piece around getting in position. Oftentimes they just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who teaches us how to be married? Who teaches us how to communicate well? Who teaches us how to have a good relationship? Who teaches us how to get over something as devastating as betrayal? Most of the time, people don't know. I mean, we people will say, they know they ain't supposed to cheat. Okay, that's fine. But once you have entered into that place,
How you get back?
what am I supposed to do? Many people don't know that they do need to give you grace and space. That ownership has to be a way that they walk every day. That you can't actually operate in the same way you were when cheating wasn't a thing, because you have to like, it's like being in the hospital and your leg is broken and they got it all bandaged up or whatever, they put the cast on and it's sitting up and all of that kind of thing. You gotta be in that position for a while, and then eventually we can take that stuff off and y'all can start to walk normally again. But people don't know. So how will they know? When you get in position, and I'm talking to the sisters, when you get in position, then you can ask for it. You can say, this is my boundary. This is my requirement. This is what I need. Not in a place to check them, but in a place to say, this is how I take care of myself. But many of us as women and as people who have been cheated on, we don't even know what it should look like. Well, what is normal? Am I doing too much? Is it my self-esteem? Am I being too pressed, or whatever? So I just want to, again, encourage you all to understand that it's not about everybody having all the things together, but if you don't get in right position, to be in a place where people can support and encourage you and give you feedback so that you can get to where you want to be, whether it be with your partner or without them, then you won't even have the tools and know what you should be looking for. So I think that piece is really important for sure.
Yeah, that definitely is important, and I'm glad that you lifted that point up. Again, to be able to put yourself in a position where you are able to see it for what it is, and to be able to make the request is so important, so important. And so, again, make sure you're giving that grace and space if you sit in the seat of the unfaithful. If you sit in the seat of the unfaithful. And so, we've spoken about what they should do. If you sit in that seat of the unfaithful. Now, what should the folks do that sit in the seat of the betrayed? And so there's a series of things that you can do to actually help to stabilize where you are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually right now. One thing that we've heard before is that infidelity has been likened to the loss of a loved one, where you go through the grieving process of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And so when we think about this piece right here, one of the things that I want to share is that we work with folks. For instance, here's an example right here. Amara couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal and worthlessness. A number of people deal with that. And so whenever she thinks about the affair, it triggers intense sadness and anger. If you can relate to that, type a 2 in the chat. If you can relate to that, type a 2 in the chat. And what we encourage is that in experiences like that, it's important that you manage your mindset. You got to manage your mindset. And we get the fact that you're dealing with these triggers of anger and sadness. One thing that we say is that it's important for you to really take stock of like what's going on right now. Sometimes people are like really grappling with the idea of, oh, he cheated on me. And it feels like it happened today when it happened 3 weeks ago, 4 months ago, 2 years ago. But it feels so strong and it feels so real right now. And so what I'm asking you to do is to manage your mindset, because where you are right now is not where you were then. You may be stuck in some ways, but if you just take account of what's going on right now, it's different. It's different. He or she should be showing up differently. And so again, it's going to require that you manage your mindset. We know that we work with folks. For instance, Nia, she blamed herself for a partner's infidelity, believing that she wasn't attractive or lovable, and it was her fault that she was unable to keep the relationship strong. And this is completely not true. Like, you can't make your man or woman cheat. You just can't. Unless you physically force them to do it. But more often than not, what we're seeing is that everybody's making a decision. Everybody's making a decision. So if they stepped out, they chose to step out. That's on them. It's not on you. And so I'm here to let you know that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of being honored, and you deserve to be treated in a way that is in alignment with your highest self. And so, again, don't blame you for what your man or woman did. That's on them. They got to take ownership and really sit in that. You didn't make them step out. What they did was what they did. So I want you to examine what you believe. Examine what you believe. Like, again, it's not on you, it's on them. When you take a step back and really take ownership of that idea and that concept, even though you may not be feeling it at first, the reality is that when you start to know, like, that's on them, then it releases you of some of the guilt, some of the shame, and even some of the blame that you're doing to yourself. It's not your fault, bruh. It's not your fault, sis. It's on them in terms of what it is that they chose to do. And so what you'll hear people say is, but what about the environment? If you wasn't giving him no sex, then there's no reason. I mean, no wonder why he went out and he stepped out and cheated on you. And what I'm saying to you is that even if you was not giving him no sex, it's still a decision that he made.
That's right.
Even if she wasn't giving you no sex, it's still a decision that you made. And again, it's you can't. It's not a situation in which you're blaming yourself. You should be really, the other person should be taking ownership and looking at self. It's on them. It's not on you.
Yeah, and I just want to say this because I think sometimes, I think at least for women, sometimes we know, and they're like we can see ourselves much more clearly. For some women who can say like, I know that we hadn't had sex in 6 months, or we had sex once every 2 months, and then this happened, or I know that. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. I know that, for example, I haven't really been focused on my spouse. I've been focused on my kids, my work. I've been stressed, or I've got a sickness or a health situation going on. I know that whatever that my partner's been telling me for a long time that they don't feel like I respect them or whatever, and I just be like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? And so then when this happens, you think, oh wow, so you're not about to tell them this, but in your mind, in the back of your mind, and you're like, is this something that like I contributed to? And I just want to say this: two things can be true at once. Somebody type in the chat: two things, two things, two things. Two things can be true at once. It can be that yes, there are some issues. There are some things. Matter of fact, almost always there are some issues and some things that you all had before the infidelity that were some of his responsibility and some of your responsibility. And the stepping out and the affair, the breach in the relationship is a separate issue. It doesn't mean that you caused it, because lots of people, hear me when I say this, experience stress in a marriage or in a relationship, experience not getting no booty, experience feeling not respected or cared for, and don't cheat. You understand? So those are two separate issues. So what I say to people all the time, and my husband does as well when we're working with folks, is we got to focus on repairing the breach from the infidelity first, and that other stuff we're gonna have to put that on the back burner, because you could have gotten to that early on if we had just focused on that. But because now the cheating has happened, that's another type of a thing. You see what I'm saying? So two things can be true at once, but it doesn't mean that one is responsible for the other. I hope you caught it. Two things can be true at once, but it does not mean that that is responsible for where y'all are, because we all make choices and we all make decisions. And most of the time, whether y'all realize it or not, we know this down deep in our gut now. Everybody who's in relationship, committed relationship, marriage, everybody be going through something at some point in time. Not getting enough, disagreeing, not spending enough time, not feeling heard. We all be dealing with that stuff. Cheating is a choice, and is a separate and apart thing. And so we got to address that, and then we can get to the other stuff. So don't make yourself responsible. Please don't, because you would be really out of pocket to do that.
Yeah, you also must prioritize grounding and self-soothing. Grounding and self-soothing. During this time period, it's you're experiencing a lot of stress, a lot of tension, a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety, and whatever it may be, it's overwhelming. And so you kind of lose yourself in the midst of the affair. And in doing so, you neglect your own needs, and you're having a hard time with establishing boundaries, and you're struggling with deep, deep, deep ass resentment. And so in order for you to move forward, it's important that you learn to ground and self-soothe, which then paves the way for you to be able to let go. To let go and move on. It's like you're holding on to the hurt. The more you revisit, the more you ruminate, the more you're constantly dwelling in a space of pain, of shame, of blame, of anger, of get back, of vitriol, whatever it may be. Like if that's present, then what you have to do is again prioritize grounding and self-soothing. And so when we speak about grounding, what we're talking about is actually getting centered in self. And sometimes physically going outside, putting your feet on the ground, connecting with earth, and knowing that there's more. There's more to life than your situation. It's about getting still, getting quiet, and engaging in some deep breathing, some meditation, whatever, you feel that relaxes you, some prayer. These are things that assist in the process of you understanding that this does not define me.
That's right.
It's happening in my world, but it does not define who I am. I'm so much more. I'm so much greater. And so it's important to prioritize that grounding and self-soothing. You also got to self-assess, y'all, because a lot of times people are dealing with these intrusive thoughts, and they're triggering, your memories of your partner's infidelity. And so, for instance, James, and I've worked with a number of men who have dealt with this. They feel powerless to control their emotions, and they start to spiral into a deep depression, dealing with anxiety, dealing with issues that really challenge them personally, and sometimes they resort to engaging in substance use, or they may engage in issues related to avoidance because they're not willing to deal with the reality of their situation. And so you adopt these maladaptive coping mechanisms to just get through. So you're drinking, you're smoking, you're avoiding, you're not thinking about the relationship, you're sexing, you're just detaching, finding ways to detach from the pain because it hurts that much. And what I say in situations like that is that you got to be honest with yourself. You must make time to self-assess and be honest with where you are. Some of y'all on here may be able to identify with being in this place where the pain is so palpable, it's so real that I need some additional help. I need some additional support. It's that heavy. I need some help lifting it up off of me. If that's you, type a 3 in the chat.
That's good. Yeah. And I just want to say this. This is important because we said at the top of the hour, we said, we have been in this place. We've been in this place. We've been in this place. And that's not where we are now. We've been married. Yes, I'm going to keep saying it. As of tomorrow. Are you excited?
I'm excited. I'm right now. I'm kind of going back and forth. Like I feel like you're dating this. So
What?
that's what I'm thinking
This
about.
man always thinking about
But you've already
the
done it like
mechanics of a
you've already done it
webinar.
like twice now. So
So now you can't
I'm
put it out no more after a certain time because I keep saying 22.
but I'm excited, babe. Yeah, I'm excited.
So anyway, y'all, our anniversary is tomorrow. 22 years together. 22 years married, and 28 years together. And let me just say this. There are some things that we did. There are some things that we know that are helpful and that are not just helpful, but are essential for people to do. So I'm going to give you a few of those things. There's no way I could go through all of them, but there is a light. Somebody type light on YouTube. Here in the chat, light. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. We've been kind of talking about some of the significance and the heaviness and the impact, but there's light. There's light. I promise you there is. And one of the things that we have to start doing is we have to start taking care of ourselves. You have to start articulating what you need and what you feel. And how can you do that if you don't get in touch with what you feel, right? So just make space, recognize that a part of the healing process is not just about your partner, it's about you. You know, I'm gonna say I'm not making dinner tonight and I'm gonna go outside and take a walk and I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna talk into my phone or do whatever. I'm gonna watch something empowering and enlightening. There is light at the end of the tunnel when you do these things. I have to set boundaries. Oh my goodness. So many people have a hard time setting boundaries. Type boundaries in the chat. And that looks like transparency and communication. It looks like being honest about your feelings, not trying to take care of them. They did something and now you trying to make sure they don't feel bad. So you don't tell them that right now, I don't really like you, or I'm feeling triggered because I saw your phone laid down. You know, just put it out there. And when you feel some type of way, because you don't know if you're making them feel some type of way, just give yourself compassion. Give yourself compassion. Be honest. There again can be no contact with the affair partner. That has to be constantly reinforced, and that should be an expectation. And you all should have regular check-ins. Just like we need to do some regular check-ins, at least once a week, at a minimum of once a week. It really should be more. But at a minimum once a week, just to see how you feeling. How am I feeling? Where you at? Let me tell you where I'm at. Because a lot of times we don't know where the other person is. We're in two completely different places because we have not done any kind of check-in. You know, you need to have social boundaries. When there's an affair that has happened, right? We have to limit our time apart. Yes, limit it. We're going to limit our time apart. We're going to start doing things together more. What can we do together so that we can get out and just build our relationship all over again? Many of you are not in that place. I'm sharing with you where you will get to if you are going down the road of wanting to maintain the relationship. Behavioral boundaries, right? Yes, there should be curfews. Some people just like can't even believe they're using the word curfew. And you're like, I'm 45 years old and my partner is 52. What are you talking about? But it's not about checking your partner. It's about putting parameters in place to make sure you all are all right. You have to have clear expectations. Clear expectations. How do we do this if we've never done it? How do we do this as women if we've never done it? We didn't talk like this when things were good. So how on earth do I do this now that things are in a funky place? He's really going to be looking at me out the side of his eye. You get in right position. You get in right position so that you can get some support around that. Emotional boundaries, expressing your needs, not allowing your own self to make yourself feel like I'm needy and I'm kind of, just, it got too much that I'm like requiring now and I feel weak, right? Understanding that if you need more support, if you need more time, if you need more communication, if you need them to give you space, if you need them to get up out your face, it doesn't matter what you need, just express what you need. We have to start getting into that place, because when we don't do that, we get out of our relationships what we put out into them. You create a certain energy, you participate in an energy that diminishes you, diminishes your value, diminishes what you need when you don't articulate it and you expect your partner to just anticipate it. It's just that just ain't how it works, y'all. I've been doing this for a long time. Infidelity or not, it don't work like that. You got to say what you need, and you got to start to practice that and get the courage up. So again, taking care of yourself, really understanding that the path that you're on now, you've been placed on this path. You are now on this path, not by choice, but it is an opportunity. Well, somebody type opportunity in the chat. It is an opportunity. Somebody might not want to really receive that, but it's an opportunity. I'm going to tell you that in our early years, when there was a cheating happening in our relationship, it happened both ways, both sides, before marriage and in the early days of our marriage. There was a particular point in time where I got to the place, y'all, where I'm just tired. Anybody understand what I'm talking about? I was just tired. I was tired of being on this kind of roller coaster situation with my husband. Me doing my stuff, him doing his stuff, but I'm talking about me. I'm going to talk about me. And I wanted to be better. I didn't want to keep going down the same road. And I made a decision that I was going to get in position. For me at that time, it was counseling. For many people that we work with, it's that one-on-one coaching. It's coming into our program. It's whatever it looks like. But I made a decision. I'm going to get in position. I ain't think it like that. Today I say it like that. Because what I felt in my soul is that I want to be at peace. I don't want to feel the way I'm feeling day to day. I don't want to walk around with this weight on me. I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. I don't want to be looking at him unsure, uncertain. I just want to be good. I want to feel good. I want to know that I'm all right. And I want to be able to trust myself and know that at the end of the day, I've done what I need to do. And giving it to God, that's for me, y'all, is all about knowing that all I can do is partner with God and do what I'm supposed to do by putting one foot in front of the other. And what he does, I pray he does what will honor God, but all I can do is do what I can do. And so that's the opportunity when we focus on taking care of ourselves and we recognize that we don't have to be like entangled like Jada and Will. We don't have to be in an entanglement. Lord have mercy. We don't have to be in an entanglement with them and whatever. It's like, how can I not be? Because it's all about us. It is. But you are on your path and they are on their path. And as you all walk your paths and as you all impact one another, you have an opportunity to impact them. But more importantly, you have an opportunity to have your world opened up to the possibilities of what it feels like to be in a relationship where your partner anticipates your needs. Where your partner, my husband, looks to make sure I'm okay. He checks in with me about my feelings. He looks to spend time with me. He pays attention to me when we're talking and he puts his phone down and he focuses on me, where he takes ownership of the places that he fucks up. And he don't do it perfectly, but he does it. You can create that. Half of what has been created in our relationship has been because of my husband's own desire. And half of it has been because I have asked him to, because I have told him what I needed. Not because he just knew it, but because I got in position to start to step into my queendom and say, this is what I need for me. This is what it looks like. Even while I was saying it, feeling weird is the best word I can come up with, feeling awkward. I still did it anyway. And that is what has created what we have today, coming all the way from those so many years ago, from those days of great hurt and pain, to what I believe now is a huge part of our destiny, sharing our story and sharing the possibility of not just healing and not just transformation on a whole nother level, but a brand new you and a brand new life. But you out here doing the damn thing, living your best life. If you want your best life, if you want your best life, I promise you it's possible. There's so many people, you know what I'm saying, that we have worked
Absolutely.
with who are living their best lives now
Yeah.
on the other side with the partner that did the daggone thing, the dirtiness, and not with the partner. And recognizing that the thing is not who they are. The dirt is the dirt. That ain't who you are, and that ain't who your partner is. It's just the dirt. And when we can separate ourselves from the dirt and recognize that we are the light, no matter what, we recognize that we can go far, regardless of whether or not it's with our partner or without. That is the opportunity that's before you today. And I know I'm sitting up here just waxing poetic.
I mean, you
And
are waxing poetic, but
we need to
it's
get into
needed.
what we're talking about here in terms of what we want to invite you to and share with you. But I just want you to know that there's so much light available.
There is so much light available, and so as my wife speaks and waxes poetic on the promise of what you can become based off of you putting in that work, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that when it comes to our relationship, so we can stand on that, y'all. We can stand on our relationship, and our relationship in which you see. It ain't no fakery. Like it is what it is. It's real, and we have decades upon decades of experience, not just growing us, but supporting other people. And so I focus on the fact that we've been able to overcome. And so my wife, she lifted that up and shared it. She did her work. I did my work, and we are where we are right now because we both did our work and we poured into the relationship. But that's one aspect. So it would be one thing for us to say that we've overcome. But it's something totally different and even more gangster when you're able to say, like, we've helped other people overcome.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So when I think about not just our experience, but when I think about stories of couples that we've worked with, and I remind myself of the fact that like we've helped people deal with overcoming infidelity where there's children that were birthed out of the infidelity when that's involved. They've overcome and they've seen a better relationship as a result of that. We worked with a couple before where this dude, he said, I've actually stepped out on my partner over 100 times. And she said that she wanted to remain in a relationship, and we helped them to overcome and get to a better space in their relationship. And so, again, I'm lifting this up just to say that. So, we've done what we've done for us, but not only for us, but for so many other people. And I want you all to be clear that, you can't just like randomly and haphazardly get through it. This shit is hard, y'all. It's hard. And at the same time, too, it's possible. Like there's a promise when you make a decision that I'm committed to my own personal growth, but I want this relationship work, so I'm gonna do what needs to be done. And I know that what the possibility is, like I can actually not only get to a better space, but I can be an inspiration to other people too. It's
And
possible.
I'm just going to even challenge what my husband said a minute ago, and I'm going to say it's easy. Just digest that for me. I'm going to say it's easy. And I'm going to say it's easy not just because of what we've been through and what we've overcome. I'm going to say it's easy because I sit in a place of experience, not having just gone through the process myself, but having coached and counseled and cried with and validated and heard other people's stories over and over and over and over and over again. And when I look and like look at all of the situations, it's like connecting dots. When people connect the dots, it's easy. It may not all feel easy, but I'm like, oh, y'all, you on path. You on the right path. It's easy. You just 1, 2, 3. But many of us make it difficult because we don't get in right position, and we actually just kind of sit with all of this heaviness, and we stay stuck in a funky ass situation. So we want to invite you to come on into our breakthrough 10-week infidelity recovery program that is opening back up. We open this up at different times where we do the entire full on program. At times we release this as a self-paced program where you receive the trainings through video lessons and so forth, which is very, very rich. And you just do it as a self-paced, kind of a process. And we are now opening back up the full 10-week infidelity recovery program that includes meeting with us every week for 10 weeks, in addition to others who are going through the same thing, in addition to all of the content that walks you through the process of how you overcome infidelity. And it is really, really important for you to understand that it doesn't matter. Somebody type doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's you and your person, your boo, your husband, your wife, or if it's just you. Our mantra is relationship work is personal work. So we don't set stuff up for both of y'all to have to come and do everything because we know that ain't real life. It will be open to both of you if you join this program. But it is a program that is meant for you to be able to get to the other side. And so there's a Facebook community that is private and exclusive membership portal that has all of the weekly lessons with the homework and everything there for you. You get weekly Q&As for 10 weeks. So you will be in a session with Ayize or myself every single week, talking about all of the lessons that we have available to you in Breakthrough. In addition, we have some folks come on back and we do some great interviews with folks who have been through this process, who we've worked with, so couples and other experts who will talk about how you actually work through things like triggers and intrusive thoughts and establishing boundaries, and especially for some of y'all who got partners who they just be special. That's all I'm gonna say. Maybe you're the special one if you're watching tonight, or maybe your partner is special, right? But all of this stuff is available because every week we're going to come together and work through this, and then have your breakout sessions where you can talk with others about what you're really dealing with, like where are you in your journey, so that you can get that real time feedback.
Yeah, and so we mentioned earlier, like there's a cost that's attached to stepping out, and if it leads to divorce, you have all of these different areas in which you got to take it in consideration. So whether it be the legal fees, therapy and counseling, childcare expenses, it adds up, y'all. Housing expenses, whatever it may be, it adds up. And so you want to take it in consideration the fact that like it's going to cost you either way, whether you stay stuck and decide to try to figure it out on your own, or you decide to get the support that's needed. It may be $23,000 or more, depending upon your situation. Well, we want you to know that there is an opportunity available for you to actually do the work that's needed in order for you to experience your healing and wholeness at a fraction of this price right here. That's just the truth of the matter. And so again, you want to make sure that you're prioritizing you. You can experience the healing and wholeness, but you got to lean into the possibility of what can be on the other side once you actually start to do your work, do the work.
So Ayize, can you just talk a little bit about some of the things that come up for people when they think about doing something like this, and some of I'm just gonna call them, respectfully, low key excuses. People come up with, and they don't realize their mind is kind of playing tricks on them.
Yeah, one of the first things that comes up is, well, my partner won't do it with me. Like he won't do it with me. She won't do it with me. And we say that right there is an excuse because your healing and wholeness is up to you. It's important for you to prioritize you. And so we want you to make sure you're getting what's needed. And in this program, you have the opportunity to get what is needed. And you can just focus exclusively on your pathway. And your partner can, if they choose to be a part of it, they can focus on their pathway. But that's one of the things that I hear often, like he or she won't do it. And what I'm saying is that it don't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because what you do is for you.
There it is. There it is. So y'all, this is available now, and this is a total value of $14,995. It is an extremely rich program. We do lots of different programs, but we did a lot of work to make sure that people have what they need. And while it is $15,000, essentially, in terms of all of the support that you're going to get with working with us directly one-on-one each week, getting the lessons, having the community, your investment is only $597. It is one payment of $597 or 2 monthly payments of $347. And you can go to blandbreakthrough.com to sign up and to be with us. The program starts on June 5th, and we come together every week.
Yeah, on Wednesdays.
And so one of the things that we've talked about is really trying to make things accessible. If you do not get an opportunity, every single week to be able to come together when we're coming together live, we're doing these sessions at 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. So 12 p.m. one week, the next week is 7 p.m., the next week is 12 p.m. We're alternating, right? The next week would be 7 p.m. to make sure that folks who are available during the day can come, and you can come to both. There's nothing keeping you from coming to both. Or you like, I need all the support I can, so I'm gonna just be there both days.
Yeah.
And that's not it, y'all. That is not it. There is more. There is more.
Yeah, so we also will be giving you a certificate of completion so that you can actually know that you've gone through a process, a proven process, and you made it to the other side. And so you're winning. You're winning based off of going through getting a certificate of completion. So you know what? I mean, really what it boils down to is that you basically got to make a decision, y'all. You got to make a decision and choose not to stay stuck. And for those people who make a decision to move today, we're going to give you another bonus in addition to that first bonus. You'll get an initial exploratory session with both my wife and I, valued at $475. This is for the first 5 people that decide to sign up. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching this, or if you're on Zoom and you're watching this, the first 5 people, this ends tonight. You can go to blandbreakthrough.com. For the first 5 people to sign up, you'll get
Today.
a free initial exploratory session with yours truly.
So
Yes.
let me explain to you what an initial exploratory session is. So essentially, y'all, it is getting together with the two of us. When we work with folks, we give the opportunity, first of all, anybody who comes in, and particularly if you're doing one-on-one work with us, you have to start with what's called an initial exploratory session. A normal session is 50 minutes. An initial exploratory session is 1.5 hours to 2 hours. We typically use the whole 2 hours. And that's so that we can actually give you some feedback. We can give you some initial impressions. We can hear your perspective. It can be for just yourself, one person. It can be for both partners. And we can share with you the themes, THEME, the themes that we're seeing. We can share with you some of the patterns that we're seeing. And we can make some recommendations to you about what we know will be helpful for you. And what we find oftentimes is that people can kind of get lost in all of the information available for you when you're dealing with something like infidelity. But based on where you are and what you're dealing with in your particular situation, I guarantee you there are some particular things that you need to do differently. And that can only happen when you actually sit down and tell your story. And so we invite you to share with us and to be one of the first 5 who signs up today, because we will give you that initial exploratory session, and you'll be able to sit with us and get ready for the beginning of the program, which again is on June the 5th. And those support sessions are on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. But the portal and all of the trainings, all of the lessons are available to you as soon as that kicks off. But you heard my husband say this.
You got to make a decision.
Make a decision.
You got to make a decision. You can't just continue to sit on the fence, because, again, you're going to keep on sitting in the same space that you're in. So make a decision to do something different. Push and move a different piece. A lot of times people are being preoccupied with what it is that they feel and are just really stuck and laden with the heaviness of the moment. And what I'm saying is that, like my wife said earlier, there's light. There's light that's available, and we're challenging you to move toward the light. In order for you to do so, you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. Here's an example of somebody that made a decision that we've worked with, and they're in a different space in their relationship.
Hello, everyone. So for me, I didn't know until I got into Blam Core that I had a responsibility on my end. I had to make a decision if I wanted to be married still. Because I think oftentimes, once you go through the infidelity, you just kind of move and you just kind of flow, and then the triggers are still there, the resentment is still there, the conversation is never really had, right? So once I realized that I really had to make a pimp decision if I wanted to stay married or did I want to leave, I had Marquis, I was like, give me some time, let me really process this and see if I even want to still be married. So I decided I wanted to be married. So that was the first thing that I did. So then I was able to hold myself accountable. I mean, he couldn't hold me accountable. I could listen to other people hold me accountable, but he couldn't say to me, like, you said you wanted to be married, you know what I'm saying? So, but it allowed me to hold my own self accountable. And then within that, my accountability looked like, I gotta stop saying I'm gonna leave you. I no longer want to be in this relationship anymore. You know, when I would get upset, because at that point I didn't really know how to work through my triggers. I didn't even know what the triggers were. And not only that, I couldn't put voice to the trigger to even tell him what it was. So then my next step was soothing. How was I going to soothe? What was going to be my self-care? Because some of my triggers are really far out there, so I had to start differentiating between which ones were the ones that I needed to go speak with Key about, and which ones they was just real far out. You know what I'm saying? That I need to deal with my self-soothing. Do a lot of journaling, meditation, a lot of praying, working out, you know, trying to work through the triggers. But like Marquise said, now, where we're at now, we're almost at the end of this. Identifying the triggers, I've been able to put voice to the triggers, to him. And I feel like we got the secret potion, y'all. You know? Yeah, I do.
Yes. Yes. And so again, you know, as we said a moment ago, it's important that you make a decision. And when we talk about making a decision, we're talking about you choosing to come into our BLAM breakthrough program. Again, the total value is 14,995. But if you move now, you can actually get access for 597 or two payments of 347. This right here is dope, y'all. It's a dope program that really speaks to the power of what you can accomplish when you dedicate yourself to doing the work that's needed for you to get from where you are right now, which may be stuck, which may be hurt, to a place of healing and wholeness and experiencing and stepping into the light and being in a different place, you know, in your life and in your relationship. And so again, we're lifting this up to say that it's possible. Like I said, you can go to blambreakthrough.com. It's not 14,995, but you know, it's only your risk-free investment is only 597 or two monthly payments of 347.
So sometimes people are like not clear about who is this for. They're like, I think I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not really sure. And I just want to say this: it doesn't matter if you know you've experienced infidelity within the last month. You discovered it. The discovery was a month ago, 2 weeks ago, or 10 years ago. The crazy thing, y'all, is that when you don't heal, when you don't seek peace of mind and real healing, you could be 20 years later. It happened 20 years later, and you still triggered like it happened 2 days ago. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like you can be in the same place at 5 years out, 10 years out, 15 years out as you were 5 days out, 10 days out, 15 days out, because you didn't really focus in on what do I need to do to be okay for me. And so this is for the person who wants to explore, even though they may be unsure, they may be scared. I just want to normalize that this topic right here, you know, people like, I want to, but I don't want to. I want to get into it, but I don't want to get into it. I know I need to, but this right here is like, this is depressing. I just want to normalize that it can feel like that. And it's okay that it feels like that. All right. I just want you to know everything that does not feel good, it does not mean that it is not good for you. Did y'all catch that? Everything that does not feel good doesn't mean that it is not good. And I promise you that when you get in position, that eventually it starts to feel good. Because staying isolated and not staying with other people, getting with other people who are similarly situated, it's just, I'm just going to say, it's just asinine. It really is. And this is for somebody who, you know, I'm a therapist, I'm a coach, I'm all for groups. I've been in the groups and I do the groups. I facilitate the groups and I'm sitting in the group. This is what's helped me to change my life in so many ways. So coming out of isolation relieves also some of the pressure and some of the heaviness that you feel, because you get other people who are like, sis, I hear you. I feel you. I know exactly where you are. So again, you can go to blambreakthrough.com for everything that is available to you. It is a 10-week process. It's a certificate of completion. You get weekly Q&As and interviews and folks who have gone through it before, who we will bring in, who will share with you. And there are a lot of different things that we go through because there is a path. You see at the top of this, it says recovery path. There is a path. There is a structure. There is a process. Stop finagling it. and just get in position. So we want to go through some questions that we know that people have. This is the time for questions. If you
Yes.
have questions, go on ahead and drop them in the chat. We're looking on YouTube and right here on Zoom, but there are a lot of questions that folks have we get over and over again, and so we're going to go through those. So is the price per person or for a couple? The price, again, the price is for you or per couple. It doesn't matter. It's one price. That's the point. It's one price. $597 or 2 monthly payments of $347. Okay. And you all can both get your own separate logins, separate access, what have you, or it can just be for you. It doesn't matter. If you come in by yourself and they want to come in later, that's fine too. Will I be in the same Zoom room with my partner during the program? If you come in with your partner, we will start out in the program in the Zoom room together, myself and my husband, and then we will break out. So you will not be in the same Zoom room for the entire time. You'll start out that way, but you will not be in the same Zoom room the entire time. If you're coming individually, then you will just go into the room that applies to you. The two rooms are those who have been betrayed, and then those who have who sit in the seat of the betrayer, right? You're the person who's stepped out. Okay, so that's what that looks like.
How long are the group sessions? The group sessions will be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. And so, again, just format wise, we're talking about maybe the first 15 minutes where we're in group together. And then we break out into our own separate groups for the remainder of the time. So you'll have an extensive amount of time with the people that sit in the same seat as you for you to be able to process with them what it is that you got going on. Is there a path for my partner if he or she cheated? The answer is yes. So we do have two separate pathways. One path is for the person that sits in the seat of the unfaithful. And so they have their own track. And as my wife just mentioned a moment ago, they can get their own separate login, and so they can go along that path just as you can go along your path as well.
How do you ensure confidentiality? So every person that comes into this program completes an enrollment form, signs a confidentiality form. We've done many, many programs over the years, and we always have this aspect, and we have never had not nailed one time an issue because people are really joined together around a common concern, around a common issue, and really, really pour into one another. With what they're going through. So that is signed, and every person who is in the program has to sign that, has to make that commitment, and then joins in with other people who they feel connected to in that way. How long will I have access to the content?
So you will have access to the content for a 10-week time period. However, if you're one of the first few that make the decision to join, whether it be tonight or before the clock hits zero on the page, again, the price will be going up. On this upcoming Friday. So I want you to keep that in mind as well, too. So we started at a certain number, and it's better for you to get in now. I'm just saying that. And so, if you get in prior to that point, you'll have access to the content for up to 6 months. And so, again, that's one of the benefits and bonuses of moving quickly. You can go beyond the 10 weeks and have access for the 6 months.
Sometimes, you need to come back and I need to do that again. I need to download that homework. I need to, listen to that lesson again. That's really important.
Yeah.
Will you be reviewing the week's lesson in the Q&As? So we do the Q&As, and we're not necessarily reviewing them every single time in order, but you are completely invited to ask questions. It just depends. Sometimes we are focusing on a particular aspect of the process, and a lot of times we're taking, and when I say the process, I mean the recovery process, the healing process. And a lot of times we're taking into account what you all are telling us when we're breaking out. We really want to hear more about this, but we also are inviting people in, people who have gone through the program, people who we have worked with, who are now on the other side, and they are living in the light. Somebody type living in the light. They're living in the light, and they can share with you what it looks like on the other side. So it looks like a lot of different things that are really engaging and are really helpful for you. What if I miss a group session?
Yeah, so if you miss a group session, you will be able to have access again to the portal, which holds all of the trainings. However, and you miss in a group session because you're not on when whomever is sharing in the separate breakout rooms, then you won't be able to have access and you won't be privy to that information. They're making a decision while they're on who they will share with based off of who's on at that particular time. But what we will say is this, that we'll actually include in the portal a portion where in that first 5-15 minutes where we're talking, we can include that piece if you miss a group session.
A couple that we're on that's being interviewed, right? You'll get that content.
Yeah.
But the sharing of individual people, right? We take that part out. Okay. And then last but not least, how will the group sessions work if my partner is there and I don't want them to hear what I'm saying? Well, that's why it's good to have two people, a married couple, not only a married couple who's been there, done that, and who are coaches and are trained therapists, because we break out and we make room for you to be able to have your own space. So you have your collective space when we're all together, and we break out so that you can share individually in a safe space, living in the light. Yes, yes, yes. So again, when you sign up by going to blambreakthrough.com, BLAM breakthrough.com, you have these two bonuses, the certificate of completion, the first 5 tonight. Also get to sit with us for a couple of hours in that initial exploratory session so that we can give you some focused feedback on your particular situation, whether it's just yourself or you and your partner. This is available to you, again, valued at 15 grand. And this is a real number, okay? Because we got some experience and we have some skills, and so this is for real. And your investment is only $597 or 2 payments of $347. Go to blambreakthrough.com. Any other questions? Please drop them in the chat now as we bring forward a couple that we've worked with in the past, and they can share with you a little bit more about the power of getting in position.
I came in at a point where I was very vulnerable, and kind of ready to give up a little bit on my marriage, because I didn't know, just the insecurities and the lack of trust that I was feeling at the very moment. I just didn't know what was left, for us as a couple. But Ayana and Aize helped me to see there was much more to this journey than where we were. Because it's not always the other person's fault. Like, everybody got a little bit, in this game, and everybody has to be willing to come to the table and own their stuff and work on it. You got to own your stuff. And I like it because Aize and Ayana lovingly makes you own your stuff. And it's good. It's good. It's like, how you can check up on your kids, like, listen, I'm not playing with you, but you love them, you love them. So, in your heart of hearts, like, they're not saying this maliciously. They really love us. They want our marriage to work. So you need to listen. So I'm grateful to have been a part of this family. Black love is so beautiful. It is so magical, so magnificent. And if you can manage to get over whatever the crisis is, goodness gracious, it's so good on the other side. So just keep pushing. Keep trying, keep loving. That's all I have to say. You want to say
I don't even know. I mean, I'm just gonna say ditto. I mean, I don't know how to come in and top that or whatever, but
All right. So the Ross family, some of our homies out here in the Blamley in California, they always bring it forward so well. I just want you all to be encouraged. The goal of this training that we do and the invitation that we have is for you to be encouraged, to not just resonate with the heaviness and the stickiness and the funkiness of the situation, but to recognize that you matter, that you deserve to feel the way you want to feel, that you are worth everything that you desire. But you got to be willing to invest in yourself. You got to be willing to take the next step. You got to be willing to come outside of your comfort zone, and you got to be willing to break through. Breakthrough does not happen until you actually smash the glass and say, oh, I'm getting in here. So get in here. Get into it. I have appreciated every single comment tonight, all of the energy. I've appreciated sitting with you, my sweet king.
Oh, I'm appreciated sitting with you too, babe.
On our anniversary eve. And everybody, I just want you to know, again, that the doors are open until Friday. That's when things shift and change, right? This coming Friday.
Yeah, the price will go up.
And the price changes, all of those things. So again, the first 5 who come tonight have the opportunity to get into an initial exploratory session with
This is
us
only good for tonight.
by yourself or with your partner, but you got to do it today. You got to do it today. Thank you, T, for the happy anniversary. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And I see that direct message, right? I do hear that. So you come on and do a check-in. I'm talking to one of our Blamely members. Do a check-in with us so that we can talk you through that. Everybody, be easy. Be in the room when the doors open and we start these sessions and we start moving through the content. BlamBreakthrough.com. BlamBreakthrough.com is the website. We'll see you next.